So Trash Taste is cooked, and it's been a long time coming. It's been knocking on the door, and I'm definitely a hater, and I'm definitely glad that people are waking up and the fandom is realizing many things, of which I'm gonna share in this post, video, whatever you're going to call it. So, as you know, Trash Taste, Joey Garnt, Connor, they had Hassan on, and Hassan was going to do what Hassan was going to do. I think stopping there before I continue, stopping there, I think it's pretty difficult having friendships when you are a influencer. And there are consequences, there are responsibilities and consequences that you have as an influencer, right? And those often conflict with reality. So in reality, you have friends. And in reality, you have friends who say some stuff that's like off, but whatever, because they're still your friend. And what binds you to that friend is love. Now, if you decide to be an influencer, the subject of having friends also translates over. Connor, Joey, and Garnt are all friends, so they have that. But among the layers of that friendship are different caps that they wear, and it just so happens that they all talk about anime. They all Japan, blah, 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 all this other stuff. Their age plays a group into it, where they live plays a group into it, where they're from do you see what I'm saying? So now they have this friend, and that friend has caps also. He wears hats, different ones. And that friend, if we're doing like a Venn diagram, there are some categories that intersect in between the two circles. They overlap. So it's like, all right, we can have him on. He's been on before. That was another point, a major point for their decision to have the dude on again. So as friends, they decide to have another friend on. Now, I mentioned when you are an influencer or a social media content creator, when you're that type of person also, you, as a friend, you inevitably care about the content that's going to be produced. And that's why they ended up saying to him on the back end, "Hey, let's not go political, because this is not our content." Now, I'm going to jump off of this point to go into their content, but let me stay right here. So you have him on as a friend, and as of this moment, it's quite possible that they are all no longer friends. Not the triumvirate of Connor, Joey, and Garnt. I'm just saying the three with the one. Why? Because he was going to do what he did, and that comes out of him. Side note, at what point can we start caring about things that are more important than cartoons and anime? Anime is great. It's a great medium. I think at this point, quite honestly, in my life, I don't trust actors. Actors are trash these days. They're just repeated. They're the same faces doing different roles, and the movies stink. There's nothing in Hollywood that has any merit, that has any worth. Everything's like, as a millennial, I'm looking back the last 10 years and I'm like, you guys, if it wasn't a superhero movie, you just regurgitated and remade everything. Hollywood sucks. So, okay, right. So Hollywood's trash, and therefore I prefer anime. Literally yesterday, I watched Grave of Fireflies, and spoiler alert, you don't know how many times you're gonna cry. That's a spoiler. That's the spoiler of Grave of Fireflies. You've probably read the description. Spoiler alert, you don't know how many times you're gonna cry. I sure didn't. My gosh, I didn't know I had that much water in my eyes. So enjoy that. So I appreciate the art form of anime as opposed to acting these days. Acting to me is dead. It's dead. We need some. There needs to be more emphasis on actors, as far as them caring about the role and them caring about the art, rather than then caring about the bottom dollar. And there's always going to be a Harvey Weinstein. There's always going to be those parties. There's always going to be everything that ruins Hollywood will always ruin Hollywood. Pin that. All right, but there has to be a point. Sorry, not sorry. You gotta grow up. You gotta grow up. You can't continue to talk about these cartoons in this fanciful, idealistic, holy, sacramental way. Going to Hassan, politics versus anime. Politics is more important. Politics is what grown-ups talk about. I'm saying politics. I'm not trying to, I respect, as an American, maybe you're not an American, but can I just stop here and say, I respect your points of views. And I hope you would die for mine as I would die for yours, because that's how we roll here in this country. I respect your views. You respect my views, and we ride or die for each other. And if we vote different, that doesn't change that fact. We're Americans. Let's go. Okay. Politics is what we talk about. Everything in life comes down to politics. Politics is what makes governments move. People speak through politics. When you are in high school, there's always politics going on. Politics in the sports, in all of the teams, whoever's trying to be captain or whoever's trying to be the wide receiver one. There's politics in all of these different clubs. Oh, I want to be, why is this person the secretary? They can't even write. Why is this person doing social media? All that backroom talk. And listen, all this backroom talk that you're doing, guess what that is? Guess what that is? That's politics. When you work covertly and you work behind the scenes, serpentining and surreptitiously, that is politics. And it gets the job done. I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying I'm not saying it's the best thing. But I'm saying that's what adults do. You have those crucial conversations that are ugly, that people's emotions get hurt, but then you go back and you're like, hey, we cool? And then you say, hey, we're cool. And that's it. You move on. Politics is important. It's what sends men and women to war. It's what distributes billions of dollars. It's what releases aid. It's what makes the roads. It's what makes infrastructures. Politics. Hassan is an adult. It's okay to talk politics with an adult. He's at that point in his life where, yeah, it's infuriating. And as you see, I'm not taking a side politically left or right in this upload video, whatever you're going to call it. So now contrast that and the efficacy, the veracity to anime. Okay, here we go. This group, because Connor, Garnt, Aki, you know all of their names. Joey, you know them. You know them. Why do you know them? Because I'll just get into it. They gave you the wanderlust. They made the FOMO. They put that desperate, salivating desire for Japan in you. They hoisted that carrot and made you watch. How did they make you watch? Because, well, obviously, if you want to watch something about anime, you inevitably go to somebody who's talking about it and who, let's just, I want to try to be as orderly as I can with this, because there's too much to say. But as long as you have a high school ability, a B average of writing an essay, then you can write a little script and you can talk about anime. And it doesn't hurt for you to be brave and not care about your appearance. And then you can connect in that humble way. You can find an audience that follows you because they hide behind your strength. So if you have ability to write, you can do a YouTube video. And if you're brave enough and you don't care about your appearance, you can do YouTube video. So these Japan anime influencers, they started off like well, you know how they started off, probably like over 10 years ago. And all of a sudden, like, their content starts hitting. Now, as far as their content goes, of course, they're talking about anime and they're talking about movies, or they're talking about anime releases. They're talking about modern culture. They literally found a niche segment of society, which is us. And they kept on feeding FOMO. And it's that subtle, I'm in Japan and you're not. So I know more than you. I'm more involved. I'm more ingrained in the culture than you are. So my opinion is more valid than you. So unless you live the lifestyle that I'm talking about, that I've been living, you're never going to understand. You see how that sounds and how that feels? That's what they've been doing. And they might have not done it. They might not have done it intentionally, but the hens have come to roost. It's over. I've been on that that Connor apology video, which was the worst thing he could have done. If the only reason why he might have done it, or the only reason why he did do it for it to make sense, was because he knew that it was going to get a lot of views. And it backfired. Okay, so follow me backwards. In the 90s, you had AMVs and people who loved making AMVs. And it wasn't that difficult. You find some Linkin Park, you get a Papa Roach song or something, or Evanescence, and then you begin editing. And that was the birth of all this, man. It was beautiful. It was really wonderful, where you just have people really sharing their first steps into content creation. But there seemed to have been like a subsection, a segment of people who wanted to do more than that. They wanted to be like they wanted that whole content creation. They wanted to be more than a music video dude. They wanted to voice their own opinion. They wanted to say something. And then that gave birth to buying high quality cameras. It went from getting a simple Logitech 920C, I think it is, from there, you ended up getting digital cameras, and that in and of itself, if you get that to upload videos, now you got to get a rig. You actually have to get a PC that's relatively beast, not extremely beast, but relatively beast. So you get that right, and now it's like, well, you got to learn. You get the camera. Now you got the PC. Now you can game. And if you're gaming, you got to capture it because now it's content and you can talk over the video. So do you see how this just blooms and how it grows? But you get some people, they want to talk about their favorite anime, and that's all well and good. All well and good. However, they all get to know each other. And this is capitalism. When an industry titan meets another industry titan and they join up, that's monopoly. Or it can be just one industry titan who acquires all or so much of a market where they own everything. That's monopoly. Now, be honest with me. You cannot tell me that Joey, Garnt, and Connor are not the foremost alternative news. These guys are the New Type magazine. If you know New Type, then you know. These guys are the New Type magazine. These guys are they're it. So they're the New Type. They were like the message board. It was that they were the source. And like I mentioned, they look like you. They look like us. And there's this mystique, this connectivity, and video by video, we begin to trust them. But content creation does something, right? And you have to innovate because you can't just be a news talking head. You have to have an opinion and you have to nurture and bolster that opinion, or you do something different. Now, Connor, voice acting. He would do that, voice acting. Garnt had those mega essays where he would just write something and annually, it felt annual. It felt like, man, like, I was like, dude, upload more. But it felt, there was something substantial. And Joey, well, he did hit videos, right? He often gave this, if anything, Joey had this occult knowledge for deep cut, and that was his thing. He was like Mr. Deep Cut, and you couldn't talk about anything or without him knowing what it was and him being in the know. So it might have started with him, that ability to say, oh, I know more than you, or I'm involved in more than you. And pausing here just to say, this isn't to fault them, but it is to explain what is currently happening as a result of hubris. So, right. All right. These guys innovate. And they're going with the times, and now they're doing tours. They're going to your favorite anime conventions, big ones, and it's you're getting mystified. It's like awesome. Connor innovates again, right? And he starts doing these. He starts doing atypical videos that were not necessarily anime based. For his Crane Games, his Twitch streams. The funny things that he did on the Twitch streams, like Control My Printer, I said Crane Games, all that, right? So I kind of, I was leaning more towards Connor because of the silly stuff. that was anime adjacent, right? So what ends up happening is that these guys inevitably, remember how I mentioned Monopoly? Well, they start meeting other people. And these other people are anime adjacent also. Chris Broad, Sharla, some other, Lord knows. So they start getting involved in that. And they make some funny videos. Connor and Chris do the Japan Abroad, the Wacky Weekend. And so there's so much cross-platform contributions that they're making to each other, where it's like everyone's benefiting, and they have an ankle lock on our entertainment for Japan. They really do. So what I noticed, and this is, to me, it was a catalyst, was when I saw that one dude who ran up on their sets, I think in Los Angeles during an anime convention. He just walked up on their set and sat on the couch with them. Totally disrespectful. Dude's a butthole. He shouldn't have done that. But I noticed the inability to do anything about it. Because God forbid you roll up on somebody, right? God forbid you look bad by rolling up on somebody. God forbid you don't know how to handle those crucial conversations. You don't know how to handle high tension situations. So of course they should have had security. Security should have never done that. But I am saying, how are they going to get this dude off their set? And they didn't. He ended up just leaving. Total dick move, total jerk, total loser. He shouldn't have done that. But it showed me something about them. It showed me that they don't have those skills. They don't have those skills for confrontation. And so what ends up happening? Whenever I see their videos, there's the same speech in their videos as you hear from HR representatives at every company. That they're here for you, and there's this bland speech. It's all vanilla. It's all cookie cut and cookie coated. It's just layers on layers. It's all 1984 Orwell. It's that type of speech that you read when you're at work from coworkers who are brown nosing. It's that corporate elite speak, and you hate it, and I hate it. But I see them speaking like that. Like they can never, the mask that they've put on over all of these years, that they have had to put on, because now they have something they have to protect, which is why we're going back to Hassan. They have to protect it, but they can't protect it the way you and I would protect it. They have to protect it knowing that their image will ruin the fantasy that they've created in you and me for at least 2 decades. Now you're beginning to see, are you seeing it? Do you see it? So what happens? They invite someone on and they can't control it. They've been controlling everything. Look, Chris, Sharla, there's some other, Lord knows who. I don't stem too far from the core, which is their fault. But there's some other content creators that I'm sure that you've met because of them. and you've met these circumventing creators because of the gravity of Connor, Joey, and Garnt. Let's be kind of honest. If you did meet someone on the outside, if you met Garnt's wife first, I chalked it up for the algorithm and maybe your particular niche, which is fine. There's nothing to say pro or against. What I am pointing out is the monopoly that these guys have had over the fantasy, the FOMO of Japan and everything that we've seen from Japan on social media. The desire, that salivating need to want to live vicariously through them. It's their fault. Because you see how you see what ended up happening is now that the community has seen that privilege that they've had. So hold on, you mean they told me for the past 20 years I'm watching all these guys' videos? This guy's making money and he's actually able to live off of the lifestyle that I want to have. And I've been riding back seats to the wacky weekend, or I've been watching, I've been watching Sharla and her onsen, her ryokan visits, and practically making a commercial for the place and getting the place for free to stay at. And all she's got to do is just do some bacting, which is so bacting is a term I saw Jim Carrey say when he did Series of Unfortunate Events, and it was in the deleted scenes where he's like Count Olaf, and he didn't break character as Olaf, and he starts talking about how he mastered the art of bacting, which is acting with your back facing the camera. And so many of these videos that I've seen, it's the bacting of the onsen. Like, just look for it and you'll see, they're just doing the bacting. They're doing the head tilt so that they can show you, this is me. I'm in the onsen. You could be here too, but you're not. So not throwing it at her. I'm throwing it at the dudes, because how much of your life was just hoping and wishing on a dream? Like, meanwhile, you're here. You're working hard. You're 40 hours a week. Maybe you can't afford college, so you're trying to do one class or two classes at a time. You're failing one of them, and if you fail one of them, then you gotta repay to take that class over again. And here these weebs are, and for some, we took off the mat. We didn't want to admit it, but these guys are nerds. They're just nerds. Like, for example, Connor jokes about the way he dresses. Do me a favor. When you go to anime convention, if you see a dude in a dragon button-down shirt, and they shouldn't dress like this anymore. They used to dress like this like 10 years ago, but they would be a neckbeard dude. And so, I'm going to talk about dudes. I'm not going to talk about girls, chicks, ladies, because I don't want to comment on girl weeb fashion, but dude weeb fashion. You either wear that basketball jersey and the front, it might have the initials or the symbol of your favorite anime, like, you'll probably have an Akatsuki basketball jersey, right? And so you'll have the red cloud in the front, like on the chest or belly, right? And the back, it'll have a number, and it'll have, your favorite Akatsuki member. If it's not Itachi, then I don't know. Or Obito. But whatever. So that's weeb fashion. or the dragon shirt dudes who it's a silky shirt cover it's a button down. So it's a button down, but it's a silky it's a silky shirt, and and people wear Janko style large pants with it, or they'll wear shorts, cargo shorts. I saw Connor wear the exact same thing. Now, I understand, like, Connor can dress well. He is a model. He's a model. He's a model. I think he models better than he does cosplay. And I'm not talking about the joke cosplays. Like, when he does cosplay, I think he models wonderfully compared to the joke cosplays. All that being said, it's like, dude, if I were to dress like you like that, or when he jokes about wearing one t-shirt all the time, it's like, well, if any neckbeard dude who is 2 years away from really changing his life, getting a diet straight, caring about his appearance and wanting to change his life, he's tired of being sad. He's tired of not sleeping. He's 2 years away from that, but here you are. You're able to do that. You're able to pull that off, and it's okay. But if some dude who doesn't understand how to talk to girls right, or gets into habitual flame wars in comment sections, if he were to do that, it's now he's wrong, or now he's ostracized while you are accepted. That's not right. That's not cool. That shows partiality. That's not transparent. So in Connor's makeup video, I don't know if the other guys talked about it. I went in the comment section and I started to read so many different people's perspectives. And they're saying, you deserved it. You brought the guy on. But also people saying, we gave you this lifestyle. And I'm sitting back there and I'm like, wow, the damage control that these guys are doing is simply and solely for them to take care of their lives and their lifestyles. God forbid people actually have to go to work and not make touristy videos. Like, if you had the choice, if you could work same salary, if you could work same salary in a McDonald's, at a theme park, fast food restaurant, movie theater, if you can, same salary. So maybe the position doesn't even matter, right? Because you're making the same amount of money. Or you can make the same amount of money recording videos in a foreign country that you want to be in and seeing all the sights and sound that you've always dreamed of. Which would you choose? It's obvious. I didn't even want to present you a false dilemma. Why? Because everybody would want to live that life that they're living. It's not that hard. Once you overcome the culture shock. I saw a video from Aki talking about the two types of faces that people have in Japan and how their sarcasm goes very deep and it's very sardonic. And she mentioned how someone approached her, or I think it was a fictional scenario. I think it was where someone approached someone and they said, "Oh, you have a lovely watch." And it was in Kyoto, because she said that Kyoto has the worst two-faced. I'm forgetting the two Japanese terms. It starts with a T, and I don't want to say it, mispronounce it, like tatome and han, whatever. Those two. And she said it's worse in Kyoto, probably because of Kyoto's the prestige that Kyoto has for artistry and the arts. That's the same thing, of culture, of mindfulness. So this person in a restaurant was closing or something, they were about to, whatever, and they said, "Oh, you have a lovely watch," and the person was like, "Yeah, thank you." But the reason why the person in the restaurant said, "You have a lovely watch," was for them to look down at the watch, for them to see the time, and for them to have enough mindfulness to say, "Oh, I gotta go because they're closing." That's just, I mean, they went around. They didn't want that. They didn't want to have that uncomfortable conversation because they were hoping that you would be considerate enough, or that you forgot, and now that you would see again, you would be redirected. It wasn't a slight. And what bothers me with Japan influencers is the fact that they say that they know better because they're there. And the ones who have Japanese lineage, they're like, "Oh, I was born in Japan," or "My mom's Japanese," or "My dad's Japanese." It's like, well, okay, so maybe you have exposure, but does that exposure solely give you the credentials to say what I say goes? This is how they act. It's like, in that comment section, I felt a community uprise that said, "Listen, I'm tired of you. I'm tired of you trying to tell me how to think, how to dream, how to feel, what animes to watch, what you like gatekeeping what I want, the dreams that I want to have. What if you want to go to Japan and you don't want to go to Shibuya Crossing like they tell you to? Now they say don't. Now they tell you don't go to Shibuya Crossing because they act like it's just a crosswalk. But for the past 20 years, they've mystified it. Now they tell you, "Oh, don't go to Kyoto, and don't go to the deer in Nara. Don't do that. Don't go to, you don't got to go to, listen, if you go to Osaka." It's like, how about you shut up? How about you shut up? Stop telling me what I want to do, what I want to see, the experience I want to have. It's over. And right now, they are backtracking. And since they lost a segment, they have enough people who they've convinced and to be, so that they can continue to be the oracles of Japan. They have enough people to continue on. But for those who left, I applaud them. I salute them. Let me go back. They have enough people, and they still have their appearances. They have the catalog of videos. They can find more people to make lust after Japan. And they can continue to talk about anime in this esoteric sense, and they can just condescend to the JET program. Not saying that they can ideally do, but they can talk about, you know what I'm trying to say. So what bothers me among these things is that now the people that have woken up have lost a significant portion of their time. So much of their time was spent and reliance on the fantasy of Japan and of cultivating that dream trip and, dreaming about where the grass is greener. And now that they've seen how these people actually are, they're gone. They don't know if they can trust that dream anymore because it was so reliant on these three guys to hype it up and hype it up and hype it up. Now the audience doesn't know if that's what they really wanted at all. And that sucks, man. That just, it really sucks for people to want to realize, oh, I wasted 5 years, 10 years of my life where all of my efforts, my focuses, my strengths, my time, my presence, my beingness, it's all gone. I wasted it. Maybe buyer's remorse. Maybe you can be like, well, it's not, I can take back the reins. Yes, I'm going to cry a little bit about wasting my time on these guys, living vicariously through their lives. Maybe I can just do my life myself. And that autonomy, bro, let me tell you, take it, own it. Your life, live it, not through them. Stop living through others. Stop it. Hiding behind people, your Jordan Petersons, your David Goggins, your, I don't know, what's her name? Your Taylor Swifts, your Sabrina Carpenters. Stop living behind their experiences, behind the glaze. Stop. Own the life that you have, the time that you have, what you can do, and do that. It's so much more satisfying. Like, why are we satisfied watching them eat takoyaki? Why don't we, if we can't find a place that does it locally, why don't we try to make it? Or if we can't make it, all right, dang, we can't make it. Then you know what? For the next 2 years, I'm going to start saving money. And I'm going to go over there and I'm going to have some takoyaki. Like, that is what, that, man, that's, let me tell you, that is it. That could be the move, because it is the move. Not living and seeing them just being so nonchalant about what they've built up in you for such a long time. Nah, man, that's not it. So this last part is just adult. Joey and Aki, they're dating perpetually, or if they've gotten secretly married, I don't know. They're kind of millennials. They're in that bridge. So they're like that. Garnt and his wife, forgetting her name, they're there. They're married. Connor, look at their lives like that. Look at their lives like that. Do you want to live like that? Like, is that how you choose to live? Like, as a husband, as a wife, as a married couple, or a couple that's just dating perpetually because they don't have the conviction to say, I love you and I want to be with you forever for the rest of my life. Like, that takes balls. That takes conviction. That takes reality. That takes adulthood. So now it's like, oh, like, are you going to miss out on that guy? Are you going to miss out on that girl because you're trying to model your life after these people? These people. No, don't do that. Like, it's just bouncing off of the point of politics. There are levels to life, and they've been successful with a business, and they've been successful navigating that business and their talents and monetizing their talents, and defending what they've monetized, which is You know, if they have to ostracize or if they have to look like they're the source, they'll do that. If it looks like they have to consolidate, that's the word. If they have to consolidate the market for anime interest, then they will, and they have. But you got to get a card to go to work, right? You got to go. You're trying to figure out what you want to do with the rest of your life, your college experience. If you want to go study nursing, if you want to go study to be an aircraft mechanic, if you want to go to the armed forces or not, and develop into a career there, are you solely going to trust these people who don't want to say what they truly have to say? The people who tiptoe around issues, realities that you and I face. Are we really gonna is are we really gonna just like for the next 20 years depend on them, giving them views so that they can have these vacations, staying at those ryokans, going to those islands, scuba diving in those reefs, flying to Switzerland, flying and hosting like, is that it? No, 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 no. I'm done. I'm done. I checked out. There's nothing more that they can say that you should care about. They they're trash.